Please listen carefully.
What happens when I lend my books to Shannon? I find dirt in the weirdest spots. Shannon, I know you're not listening.
Why is she? What's she doing with the books? Like
she's the kind of gal that will like eat while reading like this. Once I was reading her Harry Potter books, and there was a full cornflake stuck to a page.
What's up, sisters? Welcome back to another episode of Everyone and Their Sister. I'm Christina.
I'm Natasha.
And I'm Stephanie.
And for our episode today, we come with a warning. Please make sure you lock up your valuables and you hang on to your butts because we're going to be talking all about heists. I was so genuinely excited for this episode from the moment it was like, oh, let's do heist. And we initially planned to do this episode in December, but then Steph was like, oh, what if we do this other thing in December after we had already approved the episode topics? I'm not bitter about that. Someone was like, fine, that is a good idea. So we'll move this episode to January. But then it just kind of kept getting moved because other things made more sense to do earlier. So I've been waiting for heists basically since we started this podcast. And now we're finally here. And I can't wait. I realized as we were talking about this and as we were all getting excited for it, there is possibly nothing I love more than a group of deeply damaged criminals who work alone getting together to do crime. And along the way, the real heist that they pulled off was in their love for each other. Their little found family.
Ooh. Oh, love it.
Before we get into our episode, I'm gonna ask, have any of you guys ever pulled off any successful heists? What have you stolen before? What are your cons? Out yourself.
Do I say this in a public setting?
I would have to kill you.
Dig deep. Let me set the tone. When I was thinking about how to start off this episode, I was like, there's only one thing that I would willingly admit to. That I'm not actively engaged in. No, I'm not doing any crimes. What are you talking about? I was working at a bookstore that sold things that weren't books, and my job was to set up displays, and sometimes in setting up displays, you find shit that people just like throw wherever, and then you go bring them back to the place they are. You take backs. And one time someone left, you remember those bug eye stuffed animals? Yeah. Where they're like really, really small, but they have these giant fucking eyes?
Beanie Boo?
Someone left... I guess that's what they're called. Someone left a fucking donkey one in a random like display of like glasses or some shit like that. And I remember picking it up and I was like, first of all, this thing is fucking adorable, but I don't have space for it. So I put him as a joke in my pocket with his donkey head like poking out of my pocket and his little arms poking out. And I would be like, oh, this is who I'm working with today. Because I used to work at 5 a.m. and I used to not sleep at all because I would do homework in between the hours of like 2 a.m. to when I had to start work. So I never made sense when I was working at that bookstore at all. So I used to do stupid shit like that. And I just forgot who was in there. And then I just left the store having taken him out. And to this day, I still own that fucking donkey. He is sitting on my bookshelf, chilling in a fucking, those New York coffee cup takeout containers. He's chilling in one of those. We love him. He's a member of the family. But I also liked it because I feel like that's the energy you need to go into with a heist, where you walk out, like you don't even remember that you did anything wrong. You steal that $11 Beanie Boo. And you don't worry about it.
I think my favorite type of, I guess we'll call them a heist, is food heists. I'm the type to take Terry's yogurt. Like I will take it. not maybe not at work or something, but if I see something like if I see like a little drink in the fridge and nobody's been drinking it for like 2 weeks, I'm like, that's my drink now.
Ooh, so I think what we're finding out, because we know that Nat has a sister. I think I can already hear the arguments.
Absolutely. And this is why we both label things, because we both take from each other.
I was going to say something truly illegal, but I'm not going to say that because you never know who's listening. But the heist that I'm going to talk about is I also have a sister, and me stealing a piece of clothing without letting her know. Oh. And then coming home before her, hiding the item in my room, waiting and biding my time for her to leave her room, go out with her friends, and then putting that thing back where it was without her knowing. That is a skill level that
pissed
Aspire.
for her. Like, I'm so
She
pissed.
did the same to me. So it's fine. Nothing burns my ass more than my sister would put on a shirt that I hadn't even worn. Still had that to me. I'm furious.
My sister did that to me with this one shirt I like bought specifically for work, and I was like, it's beautiful. It's like a white little collared number with a bit of sparkle in it. And I saw her wearing it one day. I was like, I swear I bought that same shirt and I never found it again. 4 months. 4 months. I still think about that. God.
Never forget. Hashtag never forget.
And with our, just so that, because I wanted to set the stage, and now with our stakes heists out of the way, let's talk about some where the stakes are maybe a little bit higher.
Just
Steph,
a touch.
what is your heist pick?
I'm picking a book series that is duology, for being specific. That's going to be turned into a Netflix series on Netflix. Double said Netflix. It's coming out in April, and I'm picking Six of Crows by Leah Bardugo. I think Leah Bardugo. We all know who I'm talking about. You've seen the cover. You've seen this book. I'm holding up this book to them right now. It has a black paper. What is this called? Book people?
Dust jacket?
No. What's this?
Oh, like a painted edge.
Yes, a black painted edge. But it's on the theme of found families, because guess what? The best part of a heist is you have 6. Is it 6? 1, 2. Yeah, 6 loners. What are they called? Desperados. People on their own coming together to form a found family to get this heist going. So Six of Crows, I wrote it out because I forgot what it was about. They must first break into a heavily guarded prison, smuggle out a convict, and so it was a heist within a heist, and then with his help, the guy they stole from the jail, they will attempt to break into an ice court, a place that has never been breached, and get their hands on a lot of money. But the cast of characters are as follows, which work. The thing about, I find, when you have a lot of characters, like, you don't care, or you don't get enough information about their backstory for you to care about them more. But this one had the perfect amount of backstory and then forward plot, which is what I like to see. So we have Kaz. Think of him as Peaky Blinders, the main guy in Peaky Blinders. He likes to wear a suit. He has a cane because he hurt his leg. And he's kind of known as the criminal mastermind behind everything. Then you have Inej. She was an acrobat. She was sold into basically a slave, but sold into, what are they called? Brothels. There we go. One of those days. And she, like, maybe there's something flirty going on between her and Kaz. Who's to say? Then you have Nina, who is she's magical. This is in a magical world. It's part of the Grisha trilogy, which I didn't really love, and this is better, but like, you may need, so everyone has like special abilities. She's a heart render, so she has magical powers over that specific type of body. Does that make sense, Nat?
Yeah. Also, she's plus size.
She's plus size. She loves food. She loves waffles specifically. And she's kind of like the heart and joy of the whole cast of characters. Then you have Matthias, Himbo. Matthias. He's a himbo. He's a straight up himbo. Literally, that's all you need to know. Himbo, blonde, has a like super strict in his beliefs, which are going to be changing because of Nina. I don't know. Then you have Jesper, who he's a delight. He's like the Klaus of the group. Delightful, loves Chloe, he has joy. He brings the comic relief. And then you have Wylan, sweet baby Wylan, who maybe there's a romance between Jesper and Wylan. Who's to say? It's unclear to me. But so this ragtag bunch of people, they each have their own point of view as you go through this whole story, and then they're working together to put out this heist. And I was so impressed about how this all came together that I was like, you know what? I am into heists. What do you mean I haven't read a heist in a long time? And this book, I didn't pick this book up series initially because I was like, I didn't really care for the Grisha trilogy. But everyone on the interwebs was like, this is so good. Everyone needs to read it. And guess what? They were right. Which is such a pain in the ass sometimes. But now, because of it, now we have a Netflix series coming in April, which I'm really interested to see because they're mushing Grisha trilogy with Six of Crows and then putting them together, because there is some overlap, but the timeline is not the same. So I wonder how they're gonna pull that off.
I mean, like, I think they're going to be showing, like, Kaz, Inej, and, like, some of the group, not all of them, because Nina would have been on her own at that point, and Matthias would have been on his own at that point, too. In the Grisha trilogy, they were doing their own thing, but I feel like they're going to show, like, the initial group doing their own thing on the side, and then they're probably going to eventually go into the events of Six of Crows / Crooked Kingdom, which happened after the Grisha trilogy, right? Like, that's what makes the most sense.
I'm looking at a map. So they're in different countries in the same universe world. So I'm really like, okay, selfishly, I'm like, if this does well, we're going to get so many more of this. I'm pumped about it. But like, it's the same thing about Bridgerton. Can they do it? Bridgerton did do it, I think, successfully. But like, you guys know, we have some troubles with it. But this, I'm excited. YA series, huge Netflix series, so many cast of characters. I think there's probably a character everyone's gonna like because there's so many to choose from.
I feel like I'm more worried about what they do with the Darkling, because I'm like, that's some toxic shit there.
So Darkling is part of the other trilogy. He's like the villain of the story, but he's played by Ben Barnes, which those teens are going to be salivating over.
And it's like,
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sorry, because I really want to read Six of Crows. I just haven't had a chance to get to it yet. But I've been trying to figure out, for when the show comes out, should I read the book before the show? Or do I want to try to keep some of the surprise, watch the show, and then plow through the book so that I know everything that's going to happen?
I know for a fact you're not going to like the Grisha trilogy. But you're going to like Six of Crows because they're all morally great characters. And they're the most interesting put together in one book. So you could... It depends how good the series is. So maybe
I have a feeling the series is going to go in a different direction with a lot of things, and I think it's not going to be the same as it. Like, I think you can read the books, but I don't think it's going to make a difference for how you watch the show. That's my personal thing, but I think it's only based on like what we see happens with like any book that becomes a show, especially on Netflix now, like learning from like what they've done before. It's never going to be one of those things where it's probably required anymore, because I think they're kind of better than like, it's not going to be like, I feel like with like certain shows on certain networks, sometimes you do need to do that reading ahead of time, but like I feel like Netflix does a good thing where they're like, we're just going to do this on its own as if nobody has to read it. And if people read the book, that's their own prerogative. Like, I think Netflix has been good about that previously. I think they do the same thing with Bridgerton, right? Like, but I don't know. Maybe it depends on the writers, I guess, too. I guess, like, technically Leigh Bardugo is writing this one, isn't she? With, like, the help of others?
I don't think so.
She's not writing it? Okay.
She might be consultant or producer.
I'm excited though. The premise of like Six of Crows, can't speak to the Grisha trilogy. I know it exists. I have read nothing about it. I just know that Six of Crows, I'm like, I do really want to read that. I do know that I would love it.
I think you can read like spoilers for the Grisha trilogy and just like get the
if you got a recap of it, you could go straight into this like, beautiful.
I personally wouldn't recommend reading all of the Grisha trilogy because I also didn't like it.
That's it. I'm excited about it. I decided to see a good YA series come to life. I'm putting good there because personally I thought this was well done. If you like reading about heists and you haven't picked this up, definitely recommend it. Also, honorable mention, Heist Society by Ali Carter. It's a Disney Hyperion published book. And it's also really well done. I think this heist is, again, ragtag bunch of people coming together, but it's a family business. And I think they're trying to steal either a diamond or a painting. I think it might be a painting in this one, but also really excellent. Quick read, excellent. And that's it. I'm done.
All right. So my heist pick, of course, I'm going to start with my honorable mentions. There's just a couple. There's just a tiny little bit. And I'm only thinking about this because as some people may know, I have been rewatching all of the MCU, so like the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I pretty much finished watching last night, and the top of mind thing was the time heist of Endgame, which was like the stupidest thing I've ever seen, but also I quite enjoyed the time heist. And then like based on that, I was like, what are some other like little things that I watched that just have a heist but aren't fully about heists? And of course I have to give that mention to the Halloween heists of Brooklyn Nine-Nine. All of them. They're all great. I love every single one of those episodes. So good. So my actual pick is a Netflix show. I'm kind of glad this our heist episode did get delayed because it means that I had time to watch this very brand new Netflix TV show called Lupin or Lupin, depending on which accent you're using. It's based on the novels, or I guess like series by this French author Maurice Leblanc. It's called Arsène Lupin. And it was adapted previously into a very well-loved anime. I think it's got like 5 parts and they're all like 23 episodes long. Like it's hundreds of episodes. Like it's a lot. There's like
it's an anime?
It was an anime. It's called Lupin the Third. And they have like various versions of that. There's 12 movies for it already in the anime.
Wow.
So just a little bit of a background, like I have seen many of these, and like so I'm very familiar with the content of the books, even though I haven't read the books, which I do kind of want to read them now. But if you haven't watched the anime, see any of the adaptations, basically this book by Maurice Leblanc is essentially the anti-hero to Sherlock Holmes. This is like a gentleman thief, if you will, who is kind of like our original Leverage. We talked about Leverage in an episode. It's
editing, Christina, just popping into this episode for a quick moment to say, yes, Natasha, we did talk about Leverage in an episode, and while it has been weeks, I'm still just as mad as I was when we recorded it that you did not remember that I was the one that recommended that show to you. Thank you very much. Back to our regularly scheduled episode.
It's a thief doing good things for good people against bad people in power, essentially. That's the whole concept, and that's what I love about it. We love to see it. And so Lupin, or Lupin, the Netflix show, is based on that loosely because it's a story that follows a professional thief named Assane Diop, the only son of an immigrant from Senegal who came to France to seek a better life for his child, Assane. They actually start off the very first episode of the first part of the first season. So this is really confusing, guys. Very layered. Netflix was like, we're going to release a first season, but we're going to divide it into 2 parts. And I was like,
oh, I hate that.
I did not know that going in.
They're absolutely trying to stretch out that quarantine content. They're like, just in case.
Yeah.
We're going back to season 1A, season 1B.
I was like, are you kidding? And like the first part of the first season, 5 episodes, just 5 episodes. I was like, what are you trying to do to me? Are you trying to kill me? Is this anyway? They start off the very first episode with a heist that takes place at the Louvre, and it's hilarious. It's so good. It's classic. It has like all like the classic elements you want of a heist. Assane, of course, is posing as a janitor at some point and then a millionaire. And you're like, this guy doesn't seem like he has any resources when you're going in, because you're like, oh, he's just a janitor. Because you have no idea about Assane at this point. Like, you're just like, I don't know what he's about. So you're like, oh, they're going to do a quick background check. They're going to catch him. Something's going to go wrong. No, this man has it down. He has it. He's got his freaking Wikipedia page. He has like his work. Like, I was amazed when I was watching, and I don't know why I was so shocked. I guess like I just didn't think it would be this good, and I was just like, oh damn, it's good. It's real good. And I like absolutely lost my mind after that first episode because I had no idea why he was doing this, what was going on. He's doing a heist to steal a diamond necklace, and this diamond necklace is essentially like the whole center of everything, because you learn after that his father was actually framed for the theft of that necklace. And this whole story is about him getting revenge. And that is what I want to see. That is what I want to see in a heist TV show. Like, I want to know more about this evil, powerful, wealthy Hubert Pellegrini or whatever, and how Assane is going to come at him. And he's like, you left me like this. You took my father away from me. He's like, no, I'm going to get you where it hurts. And he does that. But what is really exciting about this show is it's not just like a one man who's like out for revenge on another powerful man. Like, it's like you get to see more into his life. He's got like a very built out life. You find out about his family within the first episode again. He has a son. He has like an ex, not wife. I don't think they ever got married. So it's very modern France. I was like, oh, a modern French relationship. I'm into this. but like he has like a family that he like supports and loves and like is very close with. Like it's not like a very like toxic man sort of situation where I'm like, I have problems and my family hates me. It's more like my family loves me and I'm a great guy. Like it's just, there's something so refreshing about it. And then you like meet his best friend who helps him a lot, and it's just like such a like a nice relationship. Everything about it, like even though like he's dealing with this terrible person who like destroyed his childhood, you're like, oh my god, I love this show so much. Like there's something so heartwarming about it at the same time, even though you're like, oh my god, is he gonna make it during this heist or whatever. But yeah, I very much enjoyed the execution of this show. I think much better than the anime, obviously. And I really liked the way he adapted it. I think in the show they basically have the Arsène Lupin like books in there, and he's a huge fan of the books. Like he was given the books by his father, and so he read all of them, and he makes his thief persona after Arsène Lupin, and that's why it's called Lupin. So it's based on like that's who he's imitating. He's like imitating genius or whatever in like the thievery ways. And so I really enjoyed how they adapted it. I think they did such a good job. I need part 2. I heard a rumor it's coming out in April.
That's quick.
I need it now. Like I just, as soon as I finished episode 5, I was like, I stayed up all night for it. Like I was like, I'm gonna watch 2 episodes and I'm gonna go to bed. No, 4 a.m. 4 a.m. I was like, where is the second part?
I'm pissed that they only gave you 5 episodes. I'm not even going to start it till it's done.
But it's good.
But then if it's 10 episodes, isn't that too long for you?
You make a valid point, but I can do 10. I can do 10. 6 is my sweet spot. 6 I can do in a day. 10 is like a week-ish.
I just, guys, it was so good.
That all just sounds like, everything about it just sounds like it hits so good. I think what can never be understated is gentlemen criminals. Just honestly, at the core, just the concept of dressing up to do crime.
Ugh. Flowing coats, diamonds. That slow-mo strut, you know that's going to happen.
The actor that plays Asan, I think his name is Omar Sy. Omar Sy, it's like S-Y. Beautiful man. I was just like, okay, yeah, give me him in a suit, give me him in a janitor's outfit. I will take any of those combinations. He's got range. It's just, yeah, it was just a very refreshing show, but I think everyone will I think like hands down it's like one of like the better things I've watched so far this year, but I haven't watched a lot.
You know what's interesting, because this is a French show, I haven't watched many French shows on Netflix. I've like dabbled in Korean dramas, dabbled in some German, but like French, unexplored territory.
It was a good way to like really hit it out of the park, because it's such, I didn't realize how big Lupin was in France. Like I guess it's obviously almost exactly like Sherlock there. Like it's crazy. Like they have like they talk about it in the show a little bit, but there's like a city people go to on like a a celebratory event or whatever, like a festival for Lupin. So like it's really interesting to see like how obsessed people are with it. And like I feel like it's probably like really familiar for people in France, but also like really exciting for people outside of it, because they're like, oh, what's not intriguing about this, obviously. But I have seen quite a few French shows on Netflix. I think The Revenants was one of them, wasn't it?
Yeah. I also really like sort of what you were saying about how he's just very competent, because I do think that a heist, anything can go one of 2 directions. They genuinely pull off a very well done, well researched heist, and you can watch all the prep work and you can be into it because of that. Or you can have the heist where like you're spending the whole time enjoying it because you're like, here's all the things I would have done better. Like you're low-key yelling at the main characters to be like, be smarter, but you also want them to make it, because we should always support criminals, like steal from rich people, please. Like, so it's so, like, I'm just thinking of Locked Down in particular right now, where it was like, oh, they were so bad at that heist.
Yeah.
You were like, the whole time I was like, I know that you're amateurs, but I watch a heist movie because I want people to prepare for a heist, but it was still really good. But I love, I did that moment when a heist goes off well and they show you the inner workings of it,
Yeah.
and then show you like, here's how we did it. That is one of the most satisfying feelings in content that you can get.
Like when you, for this one, I think it's like really hard. Like sometimes you watch a movie and they'll like show you the inner workings of the heist, but you're like, you have no background for why they know how to do something. And I feel like for this show, you definitely get some of that. Like you get some of his childhood and stuff like that and what happened after his father was arrested. And I very much enjoyed that. And how he like essentially prepared himself for this moment. Like this was like a time, like I don't know if he's pulled other heists in between. I'm excited to find out. Like,
what's more attractive than someone good at their job? You know, the epitome of someone good at their job is a heist.
It's so,
oh my God, just competence and dressing well. Like that's really what it is.
That gets me going. That gets me hot and bothered all the time.
Is that such a tall ask? Like,
is it like good at your job and know how to dress? Like, I'm not asking for much.
And yet, a lot of people don't meet that minimum.
Lord.
But anyway, that is my pick. Recommend everybody watch it because I would like to talk about it even more. And yeah, Christina, what's your pick?
All right. Well, I'm very sorry for the 11,000 honorable mentions I have, because this is one where just, I think I said this recently about the based on a true story. I had a lot of options for that one too. But when I was looking up, like, oh, what are some based on a true stories to like jog my memory, I also saw a lot of things I had never seen before that I was able to add on my list of stuff to watch in the future. Looking up movies and TV shows based on heists, I was like, I've watched every single one of these. I learned about literally nothing new. So apologies. I've seen every single heist movie ever made in my entire life. And I'm just going to run you through some of my tops. I would like to give an honorable shout out, some mentions. They came in at like second to like 10. First of all, Set It Off. Very underrated. I think it was like 98 or something like that. Queen Latifah is in it. 4 Black women do a bunch of bank robbery jobs. And I did not pick Set It Off because it does not have a happy ending.
Ooh.
And so while it's still honestly great movie, deserves a lot of the respect that it gets. It's a really good movie to just watch and enjoy. I did not pick it for this one because the ending makes you sad, but Queen Latifah is in it, and just that alone, it's a win. Widows is a very underrated heist movie that not enough people talked about. And if you were lucky enough to be in a theater when you watched Widows, you were peak, okay? Because I will never forget being in Widows is the movie, by the way, it's a Stephen King movie with Viola Davis as the main character. And there is a reveal in Widows that if you are in a theater, a dead silent theater, you hear literally like 100 people gasp all at once. And that is the kind of like movie theater event that I am missing the most in quarantine. I think about Widows and I'm like, I'm so happy I got to watch that movie in a theater. Move over, fucking tenant guy. Nobody cares about you. This is a movie that I was like, yeah, you should absolutely see that in a theater. I'm still on honorable shoutouts. Every single Pierre Despereaux episode of Psych is its own beautiful mini heist. All of those are great. It has, again, the gentleman criminal, but it does it in such a perfect way. We love it. White Collar, okay? White Collar was a show where every episode was a fucking heist, and Matt Bomer was the main character. So what a visual moment for the senses.
That's what introduced me to Matt Bomer. Like, I was like obsessed with him because of that show.
That was his like big deal. And oh my, again, gentlemen, just men dressing up to do crimes, okay? That's really what it was. And every so often, he'd run into a woman from his past, and if she ever dressed up to do crimes, oh, it was just perfect.
Beautiful.
I gotta give it to the Ocean series. I don't care what anybody says. Even Ocean's 8, that show introduced, for me, the concept of learning how to love a heist and like what that was. Like that was my first moment of like, this is amazing. I want everything like this. And I think I've been chasing that high from the moment you find out that they're in a high, like how the heist works in Ocean's 11, my entire life. And also Money Heist. What a great, I've talked about that one, so I won't talk about it anymore. But Money Heist, Casa de Papel, if you haven't already watched it, throw that shit up on Netflix right now. Great quarantine watch.
Starts with a heist. Goes straight into it.
Yeah, it really does. It's called Money Heist in English. Like, come on. Now, despite the many amazing things I've just listed, somehow, what I have ended up picking is Now You See Me. And it's as I say it in this list, and I'm like, I can't believe I fucking picked this when I just listed everything else that I listed. But I'm going to say this. Now You See Me has not just heist, but it has magic. And am I a bitch? Yes. Because I am weak for this kind of shit constantly. Not only does it give you the like serotonin release of here's how they pulled off the heist, it's also here's how they pulled off the magic trick, okay? Double serotonin hits. Now You See Me, for anybody who has missed it, is the story of these 4 magicians who they're, and again, it's that found family bullshit. Like, it's so perfect for this. Mm-hmm. They all work on their own. They're all different kinds of magicians, but they end up getting pulled together to pull off a massive magic trick, which is actually just a giant heist, essentially, on this one guy's bank account. And they call themselves the 4 Horsemen, and they're attempting to get into this like secret society for magicians, which is like absolutely the kind of shit I want to hear about. It's so cringe, but the movie is so ridiculous that it really does work.
I was gonna say it's so cringy, but so much joy.
Yeah. As I'm talking about it, I was like, I watched Now You See Me 2 last night, my guys. Okay? Last night I watched it. And I'm talking about this, and I still really fucking liked it. And Mark Ruffalo is in this movie as the FBI agent that is trying to track them down because they're criminal. They're thieves, but they're pulling it off as if they're doing magic tricks. So somehow that's different. And it all comes together. It's a hot fucking mess. The actors in this, it's like Jesse Eisenberg, what's his name? Woody Harrelson. Dave Franco's also in it. And honestly, not enough props. Isla Fisher in the first one, easily the best. She's replaced in the second one because I think she was either pregnant or she just had a baby, and she almost died in the filming of the first movie. So I don't blame her for not wanting to be in the second. So they ended up replacing her with, I can't remember her name, but someone was also great. But it's just, I think Now You See Me is just one of those movies where you genuinely walk away feeling joy. Like, it's just a good fucking time. And there is something very nice and comforting about watching Morgan Freeman just try to like solve how they're pulling off all their little crimes while he's also low-key like trolling Mark Ruffalo's character as Mark Ruffalo tries to be this like incompetent FBI detective. And it has a really good reveal. I saw something recently that was like, oh, it was a terrible reveal or it was a terrible plot twist. And I was like, you're fucking incorrect. I don't know why you dislike Joy, but you're incorrect. This was a good reveal. This is a solid movie. And in the second one, they have the dumbest scene in the fucking world. They are trying to steal essentially a playing card, because the playing card has a microchip in it from this super lockdown facility. And it's the 4 of them, and they're getting frisked, and they're trying to prove they don't have the playing card on it. So in the process of all of them getting frisked, they're passing the card back along to each other through like magical fucking throwing tricks that they just know. Like, this is not real magic. Okay.
I was gonna add, like, this scene is like a meme I see every week on Instagram. Like, it's constantly people are posting it.
And it's so long. It's like 3 minutes. Yeah. It's so long. It's absurd. There is no pretense in these movies that these are things that anybody could actually pull off at all. There is an element where I feel like whoever writes this a little bit believes in real magic. But at the same time, when you're actually watching it, oh, is it fucking satisfying? Is it so satisfying for her to like flick that the dude is sliding up her arm, trying to see if she's got a card. As he's sliding up her arm, she's pushing the card up her arm, putting it into the back of her hair, and then using her other hand to flip it to Woody Harrelson behind her, who magics it into a hat or some shit. So pointless, so good. Again, if you just want to feel good, watch it. This is in the sequel stuff.
Okay, I've never seen these movies.
They're so okay. I remember I did not watch these in theater because I was like adamant that they'd be terrible. I watched the first one like a couple years ago, and I was like, "Why is this so fucking amazing?" It's because it's an easy injection of joy right into your brain. But I realized like that satisfaction of not being caught is a lot of it, because like what was I watching the other day, but like somebody got caught with something and I was so disappointed. Like I know they got out of it eventually, but I was so disappointed that they weren't able to disguise themselves. Oh, I was watching Ant-Man 2 and they get caught with the giant building as a baby building, the mini like a laboratory, and I was like, why didn't you just heist that? Like the whole time I was enraged, even though I knew they were going to get out of it. I was like, no, you should have done the heist from the beginning.
Girl, when I tell you, you said that you refused to watch this in theaters. Not only did I watch this in theaters, I watched Now You See Me opening night. Let me be clear. I know who I am. I heard what Now You See Me was about, and I had the tickets booked with friends. I was like, this is where we're going. I'm gonna be there at 8:30. You're welcome to purchase a ticket and join me if you would like, but I will be there. Now You See Me too. I can't believe it. We were in New York City. Okay, I was on a trip with friends. We were going through. There are 2 movie theaters across the street from each other in Times Square that are open super, super late. And so because it was like 11, and weirdly, things actually close in Manhattan very early. So we went to go watch Now You See Me 2 at 11:30 p.m. in a movie theater in Times Square. And it was one of the best days.
I love it. I could rewatch this movie right now.
I do. You absolutely should watch them, Steph. Again, just because they're not hard. There's nothing about them that's difficult. And you're absolutely right, Nat. The thrill of the getaway, like I think we all know this at this point. Cops are pointless. They're also criminals, but not in the way that you want to support them. So anytime anyone pulls something over on a cop,
it's the same
delicious.
Same way you would pull one over on your sister for stealing her clothes. Same thing.
I mean, the Hive, when they're getting away and you get that montage of like pure joy. That's what I want to see. That's what I need right now. Get me out of that funk.
And then again, Found Family, when they all realized, they were like, oh, we were never going to do another job together. We just came together for this job. But then they grew close. They realized they are stronger and better thieves together.
And like, obviously, I'm just going to guess maybe there's some romance there because some people get closer together than others because, of course.
As I'm saying this too, literally a line that I saw last night in Now You See Me Too is, I was born with the wrong family, but I am leaving with the with the right one, with the one that I chose.
Oh, God.
Okay. What really drove me crazy about the first one is when they're first doing the 4 Horsemen thing. It's like a huge like social media gimmick too, right? Like people are expecting them. There's all these crowds, and I kept imagining that like in a real world and how nobody would respond to them. And for some reason, that was killing me the entire time I was watching, because I was like, imagine if this happened for real. Like people would be like, who the fuck are these people?
Oh, I don't agree with you, because really? I think people love magic. Like, here's the thing. Nobody wants to see a magician in person. Let's be clear. If I am just at a dinner party and you're like, oh, I do card tricks, I don't want to see them. But that kind of like, oh, I can stay away from the cringe, but I can watch someone do a magic trick online and I can try to figure out how they do it without having to have the uncomfortable moment of actually being involved in that trick. Absolutely. I think they had the startup funds to pay for the advertising they needed to get in front of enough faces. I think they contacted some influencers, and those influencers shared it with their thing, and it was compelling enough. But that is, okay, to be fair, that is a big problem with social media in TV, because I was watching something else the other day that did this, where they think that all you need to do is to be good to go viral.
Yeah, like Emily in Paris. It's the same thing. They're like, yeah, we'll change her name, her username, and she'll do a couple of posts, and it'll be fine. She'll have 1 million followers. I was like, what the fuck?
I was watching, because it's 2021, and I've given up, I was watching Simply Irresistible. The one with Sarah Michelle Gellar. Mm-hmm. And she has a failing restaurant where they're like literally not gonna be able to pay their rent at the end of the month. And then all of a sudden she magically becomes amazing at cooking. And she goes from having 3 customers in a day to having a packed restaurant that they like literally are turning people away at the door. And I'm like, how did they find out that your food got good? Their social media didn't even exist. Your Yelp reviews weren't suddenly going up the wing. This movie came out in like 2005, maybe. Like, I think if anybody even had a cell phone, it was a brick.
Newspaper reviews? I don't know. What world is this?
Word of mouth work differently then.
Bum, bum, bum.
But I gotta say, Now You See Me, Steph, watch it, Nat, rewatch it. I only watched the sequel because I just needed background thing. I might rewatch the original because I miss feeling good.
I miss joy. I miss the high coming from a movie theater out into the daylight or the nighttime, and you're full from your popcorn and your hot dog and your drink.
You're confused about like the timing, but it was like normal to be confused about timing then. Now it's just like,
and you took a journey.
Yeah.
Oh, when you accidentally end up in a movie that's longer than you think it is, and so you're like, what time is it? And you're like, how is it 11? We went to this movie at 4 p.m.
But now we experience that every day indoors.
Yeah. Here's a great thought though. Am I going to order Cineplex delivered just so I can feel the rush of a movie theater again?
Probably.
And on that note, that is our episode about heists. I am so glad we got a chance to actually do this. We each had honorable mentions. Like, I don't think that's even happened before. Maybe we'll one day do a follow-up episode of this, a heist part 2, because heist movies always have a sequel. You know why? Because people love heist movies. So why aren't you making more of them? Specifically, why aren't you making a heist movie where a diverse ragtag group of queers, okay, they're all criminals, they're all amazing, they get together, they start stealing artifacts from fucking European and American museums, and they start returning them to the countries that they were pilfered from, okay? That is what I want. That is what I'm waiting for. Please give it to me.
That's why Shadow and Bone, i.e. Six of Crows, has to focus on the heist. Like, that's all I care about. Give me that more than anything else. It has to be.
That's the thing. We've talked about this before. Magic, vampires, criminals. None of those 3 things are straight. I refuse.
Agree.
Agree.
All right.
Criminals.
Thank you very much. As a reminder, just because I don't think we put it up there, my pick somehow was Now You See Me and Now You See Me Too.
What was my pick, guys? Oh, it was
Lupin.
Lupin.
Mine was Six of Crows Duology by Elia Bardugo, which is coming to Netflix as Shadow and Bone. Just want to clarify that because people, they switch the name. Shadow and Bone on Netflix, Six of Crows at your local bookstore or ebook store. I'm looking for sponsors. Let me know.
just Steph, though, on her own.
Thank you guys so much for listening. You can find us at EatsCast on Instagram and Twitter. Let us know what are some of your favorite heists. Also, again, what heists have you successfully pulled off? We're not snitches. Also, I would recommend, if you thought this episode was interesting and you also like heist movies, please check out Scam Goddess, which is another podcast which is really good. That's all about scams and I feel like is very related to this episode. Thank you guys so much for listening, and we will talk to you next week. Bye.
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 Music credit goes to Jazahar, but please listen carefully, and Clarabelle for wallpaper.
Sorry, I'm getting a call from my mother, so I'm just going to text her.
Oh, that was you. I was like, did my phone vibrate?
Sorry, I don't even get messages anymore, so I didn't think it would be a problem.
No one talks to you but us.